This episode is brought to you by Masa Chips, one of my absolute favorite snack swaps for clean, real food ingredients. Masa chips are made with organic corn, cooked in the highest quality animal fats, and seasoned to perfection. They're crunchy, nourishing, and something you can actually feel good about sharing with your family and friends. Because you're part of the Holistically Well community, Mia and her husband have graciously offered 20% off your order with code Dr. Kayla at checkout. Just head over to masachips.com/Dr. Kayla, that's DrKayla, and stock up on your new favorite pantry staple, as I know I'm about to. Again, that's 20% off with code Dr. Kayla at Masa Chips, because thriving is a new normal, even when it comes to snack time. Welcome back to Holistically Well. Today we are talking all things olive oil, family life, entrepreneurship, and what it really means to choose health over convenience. Because those small intentional choices can absolutely transform your family's health for generations. Today, I am joined by who is known on Instagram as the Olive Oil Queen, Maya. I am so happy to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and why you chose the name the Olive Oil Queen? How did that come to be?
Yeah, it was kind of random. It was during COVID, when everyone was getting TikTok, and I wish I remembered the moment when I actually chose the name, and I was like, this is a good name, but I do know the reason. The reason is because I had like a long health journey, gut health, all of that as a teenager. And then I discovered a holistic nutritionist and she told me to start drinking olive oil. I thought it was the craziest thing. And I started doing it and it just helped me a lot. And yeah, so that's how the name came to be. And I feel like it represents like my whole healing journey. It was kind of like where I started. It was like the first thing I went down the rabbit hole. So I started discovering like there's different types of olive oil and different qualities of olive oil, and olive oil comes from different places, and there's extra virgin and virgin, and the polyphenols matter. So that was like kind of the first thing I went down the rabbit hole. And so that opened up like, oh, I can go down the rabbit hole for milk. I can go down the rabbit hole for everything. So yeah, that's how the name came to be.
And all of those things will go down some rabbit holes today. So the first being olive oil. So I saw recently on your Substack post that you actually typically use butter over olive oil lately when you're cooking and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about just sourcing olive oil and making sure it's good quality and why sometimes grass-fed butter is an easier option?
Yeah, so olive oil, so we know all the different types of fats. There's polyunsaturated fats, that's what most seed oils are made up of. They're not great for our body. They destroy our thyroid, our health, cause inflammation, all of that. Olive oil is mostly like monounsaturated, so it's like you should consume it. It's good for you, but not good in like large quantities, versus saturated fat, like our bodies can pretty much have like an unlimited amount given that it's from a good source. And the way that the chemistry works is saturated fat is a lot more stable. Versus monounsaturated fats, it can become rancid a little more quickly. And so we have to remember too, olives are a fruit. So olive oil is in a way kind of like a fruit juice. So you want it to be fresh. You want to make sure it's bottled correctly, and you want to make sure you're taking care of it and storing it properly. So that way it remains fresh. Otherwise it's going to go rancid. So, versus butter, like you can make butter and that will last in the fridge for months and months. Or tallow or lard, I think they can last for like 6 months in the fridge or something, probably even longer, honestly. Might not taste as fresh, but those saturated fats are just a lot more stable. So yeah, I mean, if I'm like out in the world and I see like butter or like an olive oil I'm not really sure about, I'll go for the butter because I know that butter is a lot more consistent and it's less likely to go rancid because of the chemistry of the fats. But yeah, if there's an olive oil, maybe I'll do a little lick and I can see if the quality is good based on that, but I'd rather go for butter because of all of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what would be your go-to brands for olive oil then?
My two favorite, if you want like more of like a US organic brand that's a little more fruity, a little more light, I like Zim's Organic. And then if you want more of like an old world Italian, like really spicy, I'd go for Puro.
Okay, that is super helpful because
Anytime we can have like practical advice on here, like literal takeaways, like that right there is, okay, those are the brands I'm going to look for in the grocery store, right? Now, do you have to source these online? Can you get them in your typical grocery store? Where are you buying these?
Puro is sold in like more specialty stores. I'm not sure if they have like a store locator on their website, but you can find Puro out about. I think Zem's is more California based and they're used in a lot of restaurants. So, I mean, it's easier to just buy direct from the brand online. And I think you get the best deal that way, they get the best deal that way. And, you know, you can like subscribe and get discounts and things like that. But yeah, so I would look online.
Okay, thank you. That's super helpful. Now, you are the co-owner of Masa Chips, Ancient Crunch, and Vandy Crisp. So for those who don't know, you guys are all about seed oil free chips. And that is such a need on the market because if you go to a traditional grocery store, most of our chip options are going to be laden with seed oils. So first and foremost, can you dive into why we want to avoid seed oils?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, we could talk an hour just about this.
I
There's
know,
so many
just on this
reasons,
topic.
but I think the simplest way to explain it is that we wouldn't be able to consume the amount of seed oils that we do today without like all of this modern technology and all of these chemicals that like deodorize the liquid that comes out and yada yada yada. And I mean, if you just look at like charts and graphs, I think we were eating a lot less seed oils like 50, 100 years ago versus today. I think it's something like 20% of our overall calorie intake, which is just like never in the history of humans ever eaten that amount of seed oils. Also, if you just take a look at like any ancestral diet, they're just eating like a lot of saturated fat and a lot of animal fats, animal foods. They couldn't have even had that amount of seed oils if they wanted to. Like it would be literally impossible to make. So that being said, seed oils, our body is just not designed to consume this amount and it causes a lot of inflammation. And like going back to the chemistry of the oils, the polyunsaturated fats are extremely unstable. And so they change form very quickly, and the form that they go into is just very inflammatory for our bodies. My husband really likes the book Dark Calories by Kate Shanahan, and that goes into like a lot of the chemistry of seed oils and why they're bad for us. And I think she even makes like an argument of something like when cigarettes started to come out that they were bad for us, whatever, it was actually the seed oils that coincided the same time when like all of this disease started to just skyrocket. So, in one way you might say that seed oils are like worse than cigarettes. I've seen a bunch of memes like that, probably from that book, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if we look at, I think I've seen studies that showed like 0.5% consumption of seed oil, like back in ancient nutrition. That was more so just in part of the oil as being part of the food, right? Versus it being expressed out versus, 20% plus. I mean, I've seen readings even higher than that for today's population, specifically in the United States of America. And we see the chronic disease epidemic that is going on. And so it's hard to say like specific cause and effect because there's a lot of factors at play here with like endocrine disruptors and environmental toxins and like all of the things. But seed oils definitely are a contributing factor to this underlying inflammation for chronic disease in America and beyond right now. So for you,
and also like maybe the thing is like some people are like, no, it's not the seed oils, or like, I eat some seed oils and I'm fine, whatever. But like, I feel like for the average American, just cutting out seed oils not only cuts out a lot of the processed foods that we're consuming, but you also get all of the delicious foods. So it's not like a diet that's hard to commit to versus like if you try to do keto or low carb, like all of those are just very unnatural, hard to stick to. And then people, you can be keto and eat seed oils technically, right? So I feel like it's just the easiest way to like categorize in your brain, like, okay, I shouldn't eat these foods and I should stick to these foods,
Right. And you're actually putting better micronutrients back in your body. So if we go to chips, for example, like if you're getting, your typical tortilla chip at the store that has zero micronutrient nutritional value for you, like a Tostitos chip, right? But if you get something like a masa chip, you're getting the benefits of it being cooked in tallow, which
Right.
you're getting the benefits of those healthy fats versus not only the negative benefits of the seed oil, but also just like the enriched flour and all of that in a regular tortilla chip versus organic and cooked in tallow, right? So can you tell us about the founding of your companies and how that came to be?
Yeah. So yeah, Ancient Crunch is like the umbrella company, and then Masa and Vandy are like, we have the Masa, which is tortilla chips, Vandy is just potato chips. But it all started when my husband was just hanging out with his friends in New Year's down in Miami. This is actually before we were dating. We had met, but we weren't dating yet.
Okay.
And it was late at night. The co-founder, he was like, gosh, I just really want some tortilla chips. So he orders these hot, greasy Mexican tortilla chips. And my husband's like, how are you eating that? Like, knowing what we know, how are you eating that? And he said, well, I'd rather, I don't want to be healthy and miserable. I don't, it's not worth it to me to be miserable. My husband was like, there's a right way to make them. And he was like, okay, how would you make them then? And so they kind of had this like back and forth, and eventually it was like, maybe we should do it. And that's literally how it started. So they started it as kind of like a little side project, and it took like several months to kind of develop like the branding and figure out all of logistics, and then they just launched it. And because of my husband's online presence, there was already like demand for the product for like seed oil free snacks. So fortunately it just kind of like took off, and now we're growing like crazy.
It's so awesome. So for those who don't know, her husband is known as the really tan man on Instagram, right? That's his handle. So you guys are just like the epitome of living that unconventional but like nourishing lifestyle. And I think it's so cool to see that unfold, especially now that you have a little one and are embarking on motherhood alongside entrepreneurship. So can you talk about balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship? Like, how do you manage running multiple businesses while still nourishing yourself as a mom?
Yeah, so I mean, my husband, he does the majority of the businessing. I do the majority of the momming. Like, that's just how it works for us. And so I get to be a part of the business and kind of like unconventional behind the scenes way, but I'm not like, my presence is not demanded on a day-to-day basis to like show up and do for the business. But if he has an idea he's stuck on, I kind of like sit and listen or help bounce some ideas back, like that sort of thing. Or like fun things like the colors of the bags, I help him with that. But for the most part, he's pulling most of the weight with the business, and him and his partner are pretty much working nonstop these days. So I have to like beg him for a Saturday off to just like hang out. But I mean, and then I am just mothering. Spending most of my time doing that and just cooking and keeping the house straight. And then I do my Instagram sometimes on the side. And at the end of the day, it's like, where did the day go? It's just that season of life. But I feel like just being with your baby all the time, like in a ways it's harder, but a lot of ways it's easier because he'll come with us to events and dinners and things like that where we have to go with like for a masa event or something. And then, in the same way I like fuel my husband by staying home and cooking at meals. So, I feel like it seems hard on the outside, but once you're in the flow and you find your rhythm and, you take a rest here and there, I feel like it's almost easier because you know exactly what needs to be nourished where. And then, of course, there's always random catastrophes that happen that you have to deal with. But I feel like, one of the things for us is Sunday going to church is like a non-negotiable. And so that's like a good time for our family to just like really be together and not worry about anything else. And so that was kind of a jumbled answer, but
Having that time on Sunday to set aside, nourish your soul, like the spiritual aspect of your health, I think is so often overlooked. And that's something that we do too as a family. Like, we all go. And is it crazy when like we have 3 little ones? Our oldest is 6, and then we have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. and I'm
Wow.
pregnant with our fourth. So
Oh my gosh, congrats.
yes, thank you. Yeah, so it's really easy to make excuses, but setting aside that time is a non-negotiable for us as well. And then it shows your children like this is an important aspect of your overall well-being and health and lifestyle is setting aside time to slow down and nurture the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, I feel like, especially recently, like my son's 16 months, so I'm sure you can understand. It's just, I'm like, what is the point of me going to church if I'm just chasing around a toddler? You know, like even,
Right.
you know, as like a faithful woman, I have to ask myself, I'm like, what do I do about this? And I kind of struggle with that, especially like, I don't know, I feel like our son is more wild than the average toddler because we let him play in dirt and like do whatever.
Right.
And so he just like wants to run around the whole time. But I think after every session and just, you know, even now, like thinking about it, like it is really important for us to just go as a family and take that time to just focus on God and express gratitude and do all the things that we never seem to have time for. So,
Right. It plants the seeds for the future. That's what I tell myself too, because same,
yeah.
like our 18-month-old, he's not unhappy when he's there. Like he's in a good mood, but he gets mad because he wants to get on the floor and run
Yeah.
down the aisle and
Yeah.
climb. And I'm like, this isn't the place for that, even though, yes, just like you said, we let you do that kind of elsewhere because
Yeah.
you're exploring the world and it's hard for them to compartmentalize. They can't compartmentalize it at
Right.
toddlerhood, you know, to understand where and when they can do that appropriately, but it plants the seeds for the future. So it is well worth it and having that time as a family. So from a food aspect, what are your go-to ways to nourish yourself and your family in the busyness of this current life season?
I feel like the good thing about buying local majority of the time is that the food doesn't need much to taste good. Like if you're buying high quality food, you know, I could just throw ground beef on the pan. We have it with moss chips and salsa, and it's like a very simple meal, but it tastes really good, and like we don't need to make anything fancy. Fortunately, my husband likes simple meals as well, so we do a lot of simple meals. And then I feel like you know, you constantly have to be planning ahead, and I constantly have to have options. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, have some deli meat on hand just in case like we're busy, podcast, whatever. His schedule doesn't align for us to have lunch. Like I could just throw something together really quick, but you know, if I have time, I also have some ground beef thawed, and like I can cook something with that. So I feel like always having options and like always thinking about food is kind of part of my job.
Yes.
And then also like I've been doing a lot recently of like I made a veal heart stew the other day, which is like right after breakfast I just prepped everything and left it on the stove for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and so it was great because then lunch was just ready. It was already heated up and we had a little bit of leftovers. So I feel like those meals are always great. And I also feel like eating locally just makes it easier for my brain to like figure out what to make, because it's like if I go to the grocery store, I have a million options of like a million things I could buy. I see like an orange and I'm like, ooh, I should make like an orange cake or something. But if I go to the farmer's market, it's a lot smaller selection. So I'm like, oh, there's peaches. I need to take advantage of the peaches. This week we're gonna do a bunch of things with peaches, you know? So I feel like that definitely helps. But yeah, just keeping meals simple, and then again, like the hardest part is starting. Once you like get into it and you figure out what you like, what's easier for you, yeah, that definitely helps. But I will say I don't like to eat a ton of bread, but bread really comes in handy when you're busy. Just like sandwiches, toast, whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're right. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can keep it really simple, simple ingredients, and that's so much more nourishing for your family than going out and grabbing some fast food to go, right? So,
Yeah.
I think sometimes health can be overcomplicated, and so that's a good way to simplify it. Buy local as much as you can. Are you just going to local farms mainly, and then farmers markets?
Yeah, I do mainly farmers markets, especially because we just moved, so I don't really know like what farms are around here. But yeah, I just like I go explore some days, and if there's a little farm store, I go check it out. Or yeah, I just go to the farmers market and I like make sure to talk to the people I'm buying from. Like, oh, like, how old's your son? My son's this old. You know, just like starting conversations with them and being like, Do you guys sell other things on the farm? Can I like pre-order? Can I come pick up stuff on the farm? Just asking a bunch of questions is really helpful, because then, well, first of all, you establish a relationship with the farmer and it feels like a lot better. Like, for example, my raw milk pickup today, her store doesn't open till 11, but I was able to like communicate with her and be like, hi, can I come pick it up at 10:30? And she was like, yeah, of course. Or yeah, another farmer, it's like, we bought a house and we have more room, so we could get like half a cow. So we're like, hey, could we buy half a cow from you? Like that sort of thing. But yeah, so farm stores. And then, yeah, I really honestly, yesterday I went to Whole Foods for the first time in a long time. And I was just like, I'm really glad I don't shop anymore. I feel like it's gone downhill too the past
It
several
has
years,
the
but
quality. Yeah, for sure.
I like much rather have a local peach from down the street that's maybe not organic, but it's fresh from the tree, than like go to Whole Foods and get organic peaches from California that aren't going to taste as good and had to travel and probably need chemicals to do that, whatever. So yeah.
So true. So where at in the country are you located now?
We're in New Jersey.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. So for raw milk, has a bit of a side story, because she mentioned her pickup time. We were planning today's podcast recording around raw milk pickup, and I just picked mine up yesterday. So we both have our raw milk for the week. We are good to go. But I did ask my community if they had any questions for you before we recorded today. And one of the questions that came in was about raw milk hesitations. So for the woman who is concerned about switching to raw milk, she is just hesitant because of different stories she's heard and things like that. Right now she's drinking local A2 whole milk, but she's hesitant to make the switch to full on raw milk. What would you say the pros and cons are?
There's definitely a lot of pros. The first time I ever tried raw milk, I wanted to chug like the entire. It's just like it's a food that's alive, and like we don't have foods like that anymore. Like fresh picked fruit and raw milk, like all that stuff. It makes you feel different instantly if you're like tuned into that, There's also just like so many minerals and vitamins. I feel like my body was just like, oh my gosh, I have not had enough of this like vitamin A or vitamin D or whatever. So it makes you feel really good once you adjust to it. I didn't have a ton of trouble adjusting to raw milk, but I know some people do. But some people like can't digest milk, and then they can digest raw milk. So it really just depends on the individual, but always go gradually into it. Also, I feel like if you've like heard stories and this and that, just like ask your farm, like, do you test your milk for bacteria? Like, don't be scared to ask questions. It's always much better to ask questions and know the answer than like not do the thing, or do the thing, ignorantly. I personally have never asked any of the farms questions, and I've had no problem. I may have had like one problem in Florida with goat milk once, but even then, like I reached out and I was like, hey, I was sick. I was just wondering if anyone else got sick. And she said that she had like 80 customers ordered from that farm. I like reached out to her on Facebook Messenger. I no other way to like contact her, but she got back to me and said none of our other customers reported being sick, so it was probably something else. But I literally have never had a problem. I drink it all throughout my pregnancy. A lot of the days it was like all of the nourishment that I could get was just from raw milk, because you get like, weird food aversions, whatever, during pregnancy. So yeah, it makes you feel really good. There's a lot more minerals, and like when milk is pasteurized, they kill the natural vitamins and then they add back in synthetic vitamins. So again, always better to have like the natural thing. And I don't know, I just feel like it's more of an experience if you have to like go to a farm to pick up the milk and then you see the cows on like a sunny day. It's just like, it's a lot better of experience. What else? It's also like if you're in that busy season of life, it's really easy to make like a nourishing smoothie, drink, whatever, with gelatin or, fruit and colostrum powder, like egg yolks. Like you can make a really nourishing drink on the go. And yeah, my toddler drinks it too. And he probably we're competing of who's drinking more these days. He is, he's really, really enjoying his milk, his raw milk. Also, if
Yeah.
you're worried, you can heat it up. Like
Right.
you can
Yep.
put it on the stove and just like gently heat it up if that makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I would say, I mean, the biggest con is, of course, like people are concerned about contamination or, bacteria and getting sick from it. And there was just a headline recently that was like, X amount of people hospitalized in Florida for consuming raw milk. And I didn't dive into the article because I'm like, this just is clickbaity in a way. But
Yeah.
I mean, you can get foodborne pathogens from buying spinach from the grocery store or
Oh my gosh,
mangoes
if
from the
you
grocery
go
store.
to the CDC website and look at like most of the breakouts, it's like cantaloupes and
Yes.
greens or
Yeah.
like really crappy ice cream that's mostly chemicals, not even milk or raw milk or anything. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's crazy. They don't want you to know that.
Exactly. So those things don't make the headlines, but the raw milk does. And so I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing is getting to know your farmer. I'm currently pregnant. I'm drinking raw milk. I drank it throughout postpartum and breastfeeding with my last child as well. I drank it growing up. And have never had issues. A family member who's lactose intolerant couldn't drink regular milk, but they can drink raw milk. And so I think the pros outweigh the cons as long as you know your farmer, you're getting it from quality sourced, and then you should be good to go. So,
Yeah, the
um,
only con to me is like you can't get enough of it or like you can't find it.
right, you have to buy into state laws are different. I'm in Ohio, and you have to buy into a herd share. So essentially, we own part of the cattle that we're getting our milk
Yeah, yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's some different loopholes that farmers have to go through in order to sell it.
Or if you're really concerned and really want to be crazy about it, go start your own farm and, have your cleanliness standards and test your own milk and
Right.
then there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
I want more
So,
people to start raw milk farms.
yes, I know. I mean, our farmer has a huge wait list, and like there's so many
Yeah.
patients of mine who are like, "Oh, I want to get that." And it's like, get on the wait list and then, eventually you'll get on. But yeah, the availability is definitely a challenge for it.
Yeah, and I have so many women on my Instagram that are like, "What's a good job like for a mom?" Which, I mean, I think having a raw milk farm is a lot of work, but if you like want to have kids later, go ahead. That's a good job.
Yeah,
High
kiddos can
demand
help
right
you on
now.
the farm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So let's jump back to seed oils. And I specifically want to talk about sunburns and seed oils. So, can you talk about the connection between consuming seed oils and how this affects the body's ability to sunburn?
Yeah. Um, I think the best, I'm not going to explain this super well because I'm not an expert, but basically, because the oils go rancid, they're like oxidized. And so when things are oxidized, they just react like a lot more easily. So if you're like out in the sun and you have all of these seed oils kind of like in your body, they're just going to react a lot more and it's going to be a lot more sporadic and inflamed and whatever. So there's a lot of stories of people who stopped eating seed oils and stopped burning in the sun. I have posted videos about like eat your sunscreen because saturated fat, just keeps your inflammation down. And I'm sure there's some more science behind it, but yeah, basically seed oils just make you like super, super inflamed and you react a lot more easily to things like the sun. And like even if you don't eat seed oils and you go out in the sun all day at peak UV, like yeah, you're probably gonna get burned. So people are like, I don't want to get skin cancer, whatever. Well, it's like we're not saying to like don't protect yourself from the sun. Just don't protect yourself with like sunscreen and yeah, eating seed oils will make that a little bit easier, or not eating seed oils will make that a little bit easier for you. So yeah, I'm a big fan of not eating seed oils and then physical sunscreen, and you like literally never ever need chemical sunscreen.
Yeah. So when you say physical sunscreen, you're talking about like zinc based or like tallow based.
I mean like umbrellas,
Okay.
hats, white linen,
Gotcha.
like physical blocking of the sun in that way, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So what about for the woman who is very light skinned? Like I have had a few patients reach out who have seen the research behind seed oils and sunburns. They're like, okay, I'm not eating seed oils, but I'm naturally fair skinned. Like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, your genetics matter too, and this comes into play with like the raw milk too. Like I think people with like Asian genetics don't have like a ton of tolerance to dairy in general or like wheat, you know? So you definitely have to take that into account. But yeah, I mean, maybe you should just wear hats and stay under an umbrella like when you're going out to the beach or I know some people with fair skin who were like burning a lot, were unable to get tan, stopped eating seed oils, and then they just expose themselves to the sun like more gradually in like morning hours, like not peak UV. Again, there's a reason why a lot of European cultures have a siesta in the middle of the day.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, like know yourself. You can, if you're gonna start to burn, protect yourself in some way. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty simple, but I'm also not fair skinned, so I've literally never had a problem with burning really, and I've never really worn sunscreen, so I can't speak for everyone, but I do know some people who have said that just stop eating seed oils and gradually exposing themselves to the sun helps a lot.
Yeah, and then avoiding it in the peak hours and like limiting duration in a row, like maxing it out at an hour at a time, and then making sure you're finding some shade or getting a
Right.
physical barrier with,
Yeah.
yeah, linen or something like that. That makes a ton of sense. And again, very actionable takeaways that you can start implementing right now. So, what are the biggest challenges that you have personally faced when doing things, quote, the hard way when it comes to cooking with clean ingredients and purchasing as a smart consumer and in terms of what you're bringing into your home for not only food but cleaning products and clothing? How do you push through when you face those hard challenges?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest challenge is probably just like the approval of others or like family gatherings or events, because it's really hard when you have these standards and then someone wants to invite you over for dinner and you're just like, but I don't want to eat that. I don't want to use your like smelly soap. I don't want to come into your house with candle. Like it's hard because you want to have a community, but at the same time, like you want to stand your ground. So I think the biggest thing for me has been like having people come to me. I'm like, I'll cook for you. I'll take the load. Like I'll show you, how we eat. Because a lot of people, they just don't know. Or like they haven't started yet, so they haven't gotten into the flow, so it's like too much work kind of thing up front. So yeah, I feel like having people come to me is a big one. Asking questions is always good. Like sometimes I'm just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna get the whatever, the smelly soap just because it's all they have. You're traveling, whatever. But like maybe they have some non-smelly soap in the back. Like I feel like it is a lot of extra work, and like you don't want to feel annoying, but I feel like it's always worth it to just ask. And at the end of the day, it's like you're kind of voting with your dollar. So it's like if they have smelly soap, then I'm not going to buy it because I don't want to support that company. Like go find it somewhere else. Obviously sometimes you just can't find the thing that you're looking for, but yeah, I feel like having people come to you, that way you don't have to deal with a lot of it. And then maybe the ideal situation is people are like, oh, this is great, this meat is like really tasty, where did you get it? Or like, what's that pan you use? I like that pan, like that whole thing, because a lot of people just don't know. So when they see like how you live, it's really inspiring to them. So that's like ideal. And then yeah, just always asking questions about trying to find the right thing. And you have to think ahead a lot. Like if you're like, I'm traveling, I'm going to stay at an Airbnb. Do they have fragrance-free dish soap? We should probably stop at a store on the way and buy the fragrance-free dish soap, or ask them. Like when we book Airbnbs when we travel, we always ask them what the material of their sheets are and if they will use fragrance-free laundry detergent. And if they say no, it's kind of like a non-negotiable for us, and we will either buy our own sheets. We ask them to unplug all the plugins. when we call Ubers, I message them immediately and I say, I have a baby who is allergic to fragrances. If you have any fragrance in your car, please cancel this ride. Or if, when I was pregnant, I would say, like, I will vomit in your car, like stuff like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, I feel like you have to make the effort because it's just not the norm. And it's a lot of work and it's annoying, but it's worth it.
Yeah. In terms of sourcing a healthier home, so you mentioned you just moved. What were some things that were front of mind for you just in terms of like countertops and furniture and
Yeah.
all of that? Like really like the big stuff that you live in and use every day.
Yeah, we got a lot of our bedding. It's like all wool, organic, unbleached, like natural cotton because I mean that's where we spend like the most of our time, right? So we kind of put a lot of investment into that and did. I think we got our sheets from Nature Soft. We got our pillows from Woolshire. If you haven't heard of them, they're a great brand made in the U.S. Wool pillows. I think I have a code for them. Um, and I think they're coming out with a comforter soon too. So yeah, like all of that stuff is really important because that's where you're spending most of your time. And also like unbleached cotton is great because then you can decorate it however you want. So like I have my, our natural cotton stuff, but I have like little decorative pillows that I thrifted that are like just regular cotton, but they're like dyed with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we really went hard on the bedding. We have like all stainless steel cookware that we use. What else? We did Migraine Mattress for our mattress, which is also a good mattress brand that has natural materials for the mattress. We did like our cleaning supplies, just like vinegar, baking soda. We have some branch basics like concentrate that I use for some stuff, but you really don't need much. I'm trying to think what else. Oh my gosh, we had a whole thing with our washer and dryer. Basically, I do get like powdered laundry detergent from this one company that makes it locally, but I also have just like a Purex free and clear for like dirty towels. I don't really
Okay.
want to waste my good, nice handmade detergent on like dirty towels, like outside towels or something.
Okay.
But I spilled it all under the washer. And so it was like half a tub of detergent all under the washer. Had to like clean that up when we were moving in. And then we tried to run it again, discovered there was a leak in our washer. And then we tried to fix the washer. And so, anyways, my dad, thank God for him, he came down and he like replaced our washer. But then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to like look in the dryer. Disgusting. It was actually disgusting because I guess the people before us, they used like really conventional products. And he was saying that like the fabric softener or no, dryer sheets, something that
Yeah,
whatever they're
dryer
using
sheets
for it.
probably.
Yeah. It's like designed to stick to the clothing so it smells, so it also
Mm-hmm.
sticks to the lint. So our entire like vent in our
Mm.
dryer. I'm gonna do a whole post about this because it was like mind-boggling to me. But it was just clogged with like all of these chemical linty whatever. So he had to replace all of that. So I feel like that's kind of the stuff you don't really think about. Like there's a lot of parts moving where you're like excited to like get new furniture and this and that. But also like look into your washer and dryer because that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the furniture we got like hand me down or like from my husband's parents or we go on Facebook Marketplace. I found like a wool rug on there and then I just like sprinkled baking soda and I cleaned it and you can get it professionally cleaned too if you want. And yeah, we found another wool rug. So Facebook Marketplace, one of my favorite places, or like antique shops because we want like more like old, like solid wood that's gonna last a long time kind of thing. And I feel like that's just better for the environment in general. Like I'd almost always rather buy something secondhand if I can help it instead of like new stuff that's all shipped from China and it's not as good and then it
Right.
breaks and it's made with fake wood and whatever. So
Mm.
yeah, we're a big fan of old things. But yeah, that was kind of our moving funness.
Yes. So what about countertops? What kind of countertops do you guys have in your kitchen? Like cooking surfaces?
I don't think it's marble, but it's similar to marble. That's like the counter. You're asking like the material of the
Yeah,
counter?
like quartz, or is a look-alike marble, or like quartzite.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't like change anything,
Okay.
so whatever the house came with, but I don't think we figured out exactly what it is yet.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have gas stove. Yeah, I don't know if you have any other specific
Okay.
questions about it, but yeah.
No, that's helpful. I think those are so often we talk about the cleaning supplies and the clothing and buying organic. We don't really think about like the bigger items around us. And that's something that I've just been doing a
Right.
deeper dive into lately. Is like, okay, countertops near my cooking surface, like is it off-gassing
Right.
or, paint and things like that. And like everything has an off-gassing time frame. And so whenever you move into
Yeah.
something that's already been there, like the concern of paint off-gassing isn't really there anymore, right? Unless it's like an old
Right.
lead paint. But yeah, just there's once you start getting into more holistic health, there's so many layers, like you mentioned
So many
earlier, like
layers. Yeah.
that you can deep dive into and you just pick and choose where you're at in your season of life. But
Yeah. Or
um
it's like we have fireplaces and like they left the firewood, but like is their firewood organic, like or is it gonna off gas some sort of yeah. You think about everything and some things you just
right.
have to let go and just
Yes.
enjoy the fireplace, but
Right. Definitely do
but
not
yeah,
want to live in
like
fear, but
we have bird feeders that like came with the house in the front yard and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I get to feed the birds." But I was like, "Wait, like most of the bird food is probably not good for the birds." So I had to like do a whole research on like what birds should actually eat, which they should be eating seeds. We should stop making seed oils and feed them all of our seeds. But
there we go.
yeah.
Too funny. Okay, so to kind of close with a practical tip. So we just talked about like bigger picture things and like deep dives we can do, but for the mom just starting to swap out pantry staples for cleaner options, what would be 2 to 3 areas that you recommend she begin?
Pantry staples. I think finding a good olive oil. I'm not biased or anything, but that can just really help. With just yeah, you're like cooking if you're salads, whatever. I make this like ice cream. Like I have my ice cream and then I melt in a saucepan some dark chocolate and a little bit of olive oil and it makes like a hard magic shell over the ice cream and
Mm,
it's delicious. And so yeah, olive oil is really versatile and that's just something it's like I think Ray Peat has like a whole thing on just like liquid oils in general and that, we shouldn't be eating a ton of them. So if you're going to eat liquid oils, it should be really good quality. So I feel like having good olive oil on hand, it's really good. And it's like, I don't know if you have kids, it's like fun to teach them about the olive oil and see which flavor they like best and let them taste different ones. And yeah, it could be a whole thing. And then obviously anything with seed oils, out.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in our pantry, we just have like a lot of canned goods, like jams. We're always picking up local jams, like wherever we go when we travel. It's always good to have on hand because you can throw that in ice cream, make ice cream. You can put it on toast. You can add a little bit to like a soup or a stew, and it makes like a really sweet thing. So that's always good to have on hand. And usually, like when you get jams from places, it was canned at the time that produce was harvested. So it's typically, you know, higher in nutrients and freshness and all of that. It's just preserved. And then what else? We usually have like sardines and anchovies, but we literally never eat them. We have like cod liver oil. I guess it's just for like the apocalypse, but those are good to have. I'm trying to think what else. We always have good quality chocolate because I feel like that just makes everyone happier.
Love it.
And then of course we just have like a whole shelf with masa and vandy and all the different flavors and
Yes.
it's really nice because if I need to come up with a meal super quick, it's like the carb is chips, you know? And it's great because the towel like actually fills you up. Like you don't feel the need to eat, 2, 3 bags. I mean, sometimes we do because they're good and we're hungry, but compared to like seed oil chips, they just, they really fill you up. So yeah.
For sure. And speaking of Masa and Vandy, we have a special discount for you. So if you use code Dr. Kayla, DrKayla, at Masa and or Vandy, you will get a special discount. So definitely check them out. We'll have the link in the show notes and the exact discount for you. But just use code Dr. Kayla. Check them out. They're so delicious. And like she said, filling, because they're actually giving you nutrients and not just like an empty calorie. So please enjoy those. And can you tell us where everyone can find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at the Olive Oil Queen. I just did my Substack debut, so I want to start posting on there, but we'll see how that goes. And yeah, those are my two main socials right now. I am on TikTok, but I don't really use that much anymore. But you could also find me there if you want.
Awesome.
Or go scroll through my old videos if you want to watch old content.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on Holistically Well today. I think of somebody who embodies the Holistically Well mission of making intentional habits in all areas of their life, from spiritual to physical to nutritional aspects of health. Like, you truly embody that. And it was just such a good conversation about all of the things: intentional living, motherhood, entrepreneurship, nourishment. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's always good when you talk about raw milk and olive oil. So
I know, right? We covered all the things.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to scroll on down, leave a review for Holistically Well podcast. This helps us bring even more guests on the show, just like Maya, and we are just excited to continue growing the Holistically Well mission. So thank you for tuning in, as always.
Hold on a second. Don't go just yet. I've got a special giveaway just for my Holistically Well listeners. Each month, I'll be choosing one winner to receive a free one-on-one session with me, Dr. Kayla. That's a full 60 minutes, virtually or in person, focused entirely on your individualized care with a holistic doctor of physical therapy. To enter, just hit pause, leave a 5-star rating, and share what you're loving about the show. Your feedback helps shape future episodes and helps more women find this space. I can't wait to connect with you.